Hi, Chris here at Peachy TT120. Well, Heljan have only gone and done it. They've kept a super secret for a year and a half that they've been working on two brand new toolings. A rail car, a 122, Class 122 rail car, and the Class 55, also known as the DELTIC. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first of all. This is Friday morning at 7 a.m. when this first goes live. Yet there's an embargo on everybody else till tomorrow morning at 9:30 at the show. Right, okay. And you will notice in the video going ahead, some of it doesn't quite make sense because I've tried to trim it up to make it make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense in some instances, such as there's a bit where I'm referring to the TMC video, okay, is because TMC is obviously a retailer, all right, and so the official TMC and all the other official retailers' announcements or whatever, or newsletters, or videos, or whatever they're doing, and the magazines, all that happens at 9:30 tomorrow morning, okay, on Saturday, at the same time as the doors open at Key Model World Live. All right. Why have we done this? And this is obviously done. Obviously, had a conversation with Ben about this. The reason why we did a bumper last Friday was to try and wake people up in the TT120 community about something special is happening at Key Model World Live. And the reason why we're doing this video is, again, we're trying to attract people to come, TT120 community, to come to this very centralized big show. All right. There's a lot of different model makers going to this show, and a lot of the model railway community going to this show will be invariably, predominantly 00. And I just said to Ben, if we don't tell people that what we're doing, no one's going to bother. They're just going to think Peachy's going to be showing off another 7 plank wagon or whatever. You know, we need to tell you guys how big this is, how fundamentally huge this is, that a manufacturer has come in doing a DELTIC and for argument's sake, a DMU, a rail car, right? A small passenger diesel unit, and let's call it that instead. Right, so that's the reason why when I go to talk to, I have a little interview with Ben here, and I say, right, it's my turn, and that is because we were going to put before it some sections of the video that Howard Smith did for the TMC, but we decided that if we were going to break the curfew, then what we wouldn't do is we're not going to do there's going to be no description links down below for you to directly go and buy these products. That doesn't happen till 9:30 till tomorrow. And we're not going to be showing any of the different various liveries as well. Okay, we're just going to have a conversation about his journey, and we are going to touch on the locos, obviously, a little bit of running. And I'm going to have a little kind of, I wouldn't call it a review because these are running samples. These aren't the finished things, right? We do look at the weights of them, and they're not as heavy as they probably are going to be because these are just running samples, all right? There's a few things that need some tweaking. We make a few mistakes in the video. We call it at one point a 121, I think, or maybe Howard does in his video. I can't remember. It all blends into one after a while. But it's not 121, it's a 122. It's a possibility this chassis and some of the detailing of some of the bodywork could become a 121, but there would be more work and there would be a requirement for that to happen. All right. So, this is fundamental, superb news. Obviously, we're going to do a very little quick piece here, very, very quickly, about subscribing, because it's about the fact that people subscribe to these channels for free, and I don't make any money out of it, that gets the attention of manufacturers like Heljan. And if we can increase that, then maybe other manufacturers will take more note of it. All right, because when they see, if they can see, like I've said in the previous video, I think that 4,500 people watch this channel regularly. Only half of that actually subscribe. So the rest of you, if you're not subscribed, subscribe if you care about TT120, that is. You can turn off the announcement so you don't get bombarded. But having that subscription number, that number count, is something that those retailers or those manufacturers will be paying attention to. Right. Should we crack on and have a look at the loco? The locos. We'll have a quick look at the locos. We'll have we'll have a look at the weights, and we'll have a look at some detailed pictures. Look at the weights of them, and then we'll go straight into a proper chat with Ben Jones from Heljan to talk about his decisions and why and all that malarkey. Okay, all right. Hope you enjoy this. I'm certainly enjoying this now. I've been fit to burst since November when Ben first approached me about this idea. Okay, if you want to, obviously come along to the Key Model World show, because these are going to be running on Camelot on the Heljan stand. All right, that's the gig. Okay, come and have a chat. And we'll have some other bits and bats running with them to show you what things in the Hornby range, possibly a 3D printed from one of the 3D printed guys on Etsy, eBay, and show you what's going on. All right. Oh, shut up, Peachy. Let's crack on with the conversation with Ben. Now then, Ben, my turn.
Okay, good.
Now, everyone's just seen you chatting with Howard from TMC. Some really interesting stuff there. But I've got a few questions on the back of that.
Okay.
And I think first and foremost, and I think a lot of the gang are going to want to know is, what can we run with these? And what's out there, and what maybe in the future might be brought out that would really complement these. The 122 really is my favourite. I know everyone's going to want to know about the Deltic. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right, so let's start with the 122. Now, obviously, it's quite happy running around on its own, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the perfect one vehicle train that you can run on any layout. But obviously, in the real world, they did occasionally haul a tail load, so a parcels van, a fish van, a horse box, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, there's a bit of extra value there with it if once those things are available.
Yeah. Now, did they ever? No, obviously they sometimes would run as a multiple unit, and obviously there were other multiple units that they were put on the back end of, which I know we all want DMUs, but we're going to probably have to wait a while. But did they ever pull? Was there ever in small regional areas, maybe in Scotland, did they ever pull like a Mark 1 on its own, or was it never? Was it having that extra kind of carriage?
Not necessarily a Mark 1, but maybe a parcels van, so a bogie parcels van.
Yeah.
Like a BG or a Golf or something like that,
okay.
which are the sort of full bogie vans.
So is that a bit like the 50-foot that Hornby does?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, like the Stania 50-foot BG. Yeah. That
excellent.
sort of thing would be. I mean, that's kind of the maximum it would. It would pull really, but more often than not, it'd be something like a Mark 1 CCT, so the short 4-wheel van that looks a bit like a Golf, a bogie Golf, but has only got 2 axles.
Yeah.
That sort of size, or a southern utility van.
Yeah.
So something, they weren't huge.
This is really good for the scratch building mob and the 3D printers, because I think that's an area where a lot of guys are stepping up and trying to fill little holes, particularly if they want to go down the route of a specific layout or era. So I mean that's fantastic news. I mean I'm in love with it. Now we did talk about those I think it's going to be 7 liveries, which I think Howard said, and you're going to send me some images of those, so that I'll insert these for you guys, and I'll do a little bit of voiceover for them, so we're not forgetting about the liveries. Okay. Now you referenced the price point of these, which was around about the 190.
Yeah, full retail will be 199.
Right. And now is that the DC ready? Is that DC?
That's ready. That's DCC ready. Yes. Yeah.
But it's not one with a chip in.
We haven't finalised the plans for the DCC sound yet. Whether they, we're interested to hear from people whether they want sound fitted versions, you know,
Yeah.
factory fitted sound.
Yeah.
But the initial announcement is just for DCC ready.
Sure. And I know there'll be a lot of people who are new to the hobby who will think, well, hang on, everything I get from Hornby is sound fitted and so on and so forth. But that's not actually the norm, is it? Really, there's quite in the other scales. A lot of people will have their own favourite decoders and their own people they go to for sound files. And
Absolutely, yeah.
And this kind of off the shelf sound file stuff that Hornby's doing, although it's been appreciated and people have enjoyed it, it's not necessarily the everything that everyone has to do.
No, and obviously if you're coming new to this and you're still not sure about what to do and all that sort of thing, adding the sound can be quite a big extra investment. So starting off with something DCC ready is probably a good place to start, really.
Yeah,
and then you can they've got a speaker fitted.
Yeah.
So all you need to do to convert it to sound is buy the decoder with the correct sounds loaded in, pop the decoder in, and you're away. But yeah, it gives people the option to choose their own supplier.
Yeah. And lots of resellers will do that, so it's not something you have to, if you don't understand how to do this yourself, the TMC obviously, but lots of other retailers will organise this for you, so you don't have to panic about it. They'll install the chip, the decoder, and do the sound file and all that kind of stuff. And it's not, although this isn't HM7000 Bluetooth, it doesn't mean you can't use this with the Bluetooth app via the Hornby's dongle and their DCC controller. So this is not, you shouldn't be thinking that this is alienating all the people who are only using HM7000. You can certainly continue to use HM7000 to operate these as you would any of the Hornby locos that you've put. Some people have put different decoders, some people have put 6-pin sound decoders in their 08 as a cost-effective way of getting those to be Bluetooth controlled, but that's via a dongle, via traditional DCC, where the information goes through the track, not through the air. So,
and don't forget, of course, in the long term, maybe Hornby will add an extra version of their HM7000 that's got the same interface. We don't know.
It would make logical sense, and sometimes, and I get a kind of positive feeling that there is some logic going on in some parts of the industry. So who knows? I know that within the industry, people are talking about this particular decoder as a very capable one with a lot of features. So going forward, if these are successful and you bring out more models, particularly more modern ones with more features in, then you've kind of future-proofed it, haven't you?
Well, exactly, because you've got up to 32 functions, I think, on a E24 sound decoder. So it's
maybe you don't need that on a DMU.
Yeah, exactly.
From the 60s,
way more than you need, probably. But we don't know what's going to come further down the line. We've already, even in the last few years, we've expanded the range of features that are possible with the digital side of it, and we don't know what's to come next. So
yeah, I mean, sorry for mentioning another company, but they did their toe first into or after Revolution trains, and what they put into those little N-gauge locos using this decoder is really quite phenomenal.
Yeah, it's exceptional. Yeah. The 59 has got a huge number of features in such a tiny package. So if it can be done in that, it can be done with this.
Obviously. A little bit later on, I'm going to weigh these so we guys can see exactly what kind of weight they are. These do feel very weighty, although these are your first running samples. There's still a way to go with them, isn't there?
As always with first samples in any scale, they're hand assembled by the engineers rather than by the production line. They can often be a little bit ropey in terms of running, because they're basically just a proving sample, really.
But we've had them running really smooth here on camera, haven't we?
These two run fine. Yeah. These two run fine, but they're not a representative of the finished article, obviously. So these run fine. They've both got a decent motor in them. In the 122, it's hidden under the floor, but there's still lots of underframe detail as well. So it's sort of a long, thin, coreless motor.
It's coreless.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
And the Deltic has got a bigger, again in the centre, but a bigger, more powerful motor.
And again, is that cordless or is it a 5-pole?
No, that's cordless as well.
Oh, fantastic. Right, well, yeah, another thumbs up. Everyone's really keen. We've seen the initial batches of TT120 locos coming out with either 3-pole, and then the 5-pole in the coronation was an improvement. But I think everyone's really quite excited that some of the moving forward, we are looking at something over to callers, and there's a number of people on who are doing quite well, sort of replacing the motors with cordless ones, because they do seem to work very well. With that higher RPM, meaning you can have a lower gearing, then it seems to be really smooth, isn't it? It's a real positive. Obviously, these are going to have lots of lights and features on them, aren't they? And I'm really looking forward to having a DMU with its lights on running around, because obviously a lot of the light features we turn off when the loco is running.
Well, we haven't really talked about light features yet, but so again, starting with the 122, you've got the head code panel where it's fitted. Obviously, the later liveries, they don't have the head code panel because they were plated over in later years. So you've got the head code panel, the destination blind, and the headlamps, tail lamps on the rear, and then this one's also got saloon interior lights, which are all separately switchable. And then the Deltic has got head code panel, tail lights, and cab lights.
Oh, perfect. I'm trying to calm myself down, obviously, because I'm so excited by these models.
It is exciting.
It is exciting.
I mean, it's a new venture for us. Obviously we've produced in 00 for 25 years almost. We've been producing in O gauge since 2006. So again, almost 20 years. This is a blank sheet of paper for us. It's nice to start with a clean slate, and set a sort of parameters, benchmarks that we can work to, in the longer term. If assuming these are successful, that we can start with this clean slate and create something that is really top notch, and as a complements what other manufacturers are working on as well. I think it's a really exciting project for me to work on, because it's in an entirely new area.
Something that I know that's close to your heart, and I want to come back to, because we kind of skipped away from it, was what are we going to be, tell these people what they're going to be pulling with these. Obviously they can pull whatever they like. Well,
it's your, as I always say, it's your train set, you can run whatever you want. Exactly. But so the Deltic has been deliberately chosen as our first loco because it complements a lot of what's already available from Hornby. So you've got the Mark 1 coaches, obviously. You've got the Mark 2D air-conditioned Mark 2s. Again, ran with the Deltics from when the coaches were brand new. You've got the Pullman cars, which ran on things like the Queen of Scots and the White Rose. You can run a rail tour with some Mark 3s. If you intercity Mark 3s, obviously D9000, the LSL one is about to come back on the main line, and he's going to run tours with LSL's Mark 3s and things like that. So if you run preservation area, you can do that as well.
Absolutely. Without trying to patronise our subscribers, there are a lot of new people, and sometimes people think a diesel means it's a freight, but these were a high-speed passenger loco, weren't they? And I don't know of any instance where they run anything other than passengers coaches, did they?
No, occasionally. I mean,
there's some engineering stuff, isn't there?
Overnight parcels trains.
Okay. Right.
So they were, because there were only 22 of them. They were an expensive, intensively used asset, because they needed to make the most out of them, because they were expensive. They were expensive to maintain. So they used them intensively for 20 years, at the end of which they were absolutely knackered. Because
a lot of the preservation ones now are kind of like they're a bit of a trick as a broom, aren't they?
Well,
they're all kind of mixed together.
You look at some of the work that the DPS and most recently LSL have done on the preserved ones. They're almost like brand new locos. They've had so much work done on them to get them back up to standard, but they're like brand new. So during the daytime they were hammering up and down on express trains on the East Coast. Overnight they were running sleeping car trains, and parcels, newspaper, mail trains, things like that. So,
And in that period, would it have been, because I know that near the end, some of those parcel wagons, the small ones that used to be, I think they used to be fish wagons or something. I know they were a fast break, but these are very fast. So are we talking bigger coaches, or are we?
Yeah, again, you're talking things like the travelling post office vehicles, so which were capable of running at express passenger speeds. Mark 1.
So these are
full brakes.
So these are bogeyed.
Yeah. Not so much the four-wheel ones, because they were sort of limited to 60 mile an hour.
Yeah. And this would be a waste. Again, like you said, it would be a waste of such a powerful locomotive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, although of course it's not unknown. I mean, these things were turned out quite often if there was nothing else available, or they needed to get it to somewhere. They put one out on one engine on a slower train. You know, it wasn't unknown for them to for that sort of thing to happen.
Yeah.
So,
but that's. Although you could use that as a prototypical example, it's not typically what they were doing.
No, it's not your common everyday thing. It's an unusual.
It's an excuse. A bit like me having my ice train with a Union Jack on it, saying it came over to Paddington in 2012, so I'm going to run it.
Yep, absolutely. I was there for that.
Oh, fantastic! I mean, shame they don't carry on doing it, but anyway. They're wonderful. I think something else I think people are going to want to ask is, how on earth did you keep this so quiet? Because we thought you'd gone. Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk about that, but we thought you'd gone, and this isn't a month's work. This is much longer than that. I mean, how long down the line actually is this?
This is more than a year, so probably 15, 16 months, something like that. We've been working on it. We designed. Obviously, we're talking in April 2025. These were designed, and the CAD was signed off in sort of mid 2024, and then we were talking about it for some months before that, making sure that we were on the right lines. So we have quite a small pool of advisors, people that we talk to about these things, and we just kept it to them really. So we keep it as quiet as possible.
You told me about them in November, and I felt like I wanted to burst every day since.
Yeah,
but it was a good test. I hope I passed. Well, I think we're really looking forward to seeing these now. Something that we want to, if you guys really want to come and have a look at these, then I know it's not a normal model railway show, but Key Model World Live does have a fantastic amount of layouts going to be there. Heljan are obviously going to be there. All the big manufacturers, including Hornby. Is Pico there as well? I'm not sure. It's a really good show, though. But it is a really good show.
We really enjoyed it last year because it was very different to your normal kind of big model show, because there's so much else there to see. It was really good for us last year.
And although this video is coming out on the day that we're going to be at the show, you can always buy a ticket for tomorrow. Okay? Because right now you're watching this at 7:30 in the morning, or what time does the show open?
9:30, I think.
So what's my embargo time for the video?
9:30. No, we'll figure that out closer to the time.
Brilliant, excellent. Ben, it's been fantastic having you come here, and just in case you haven't realised, and we'll probably talk about this in another video or bumper, Camelot's going to be on the Heljan stand, and these are going to be running on it. All right, so this is Saturday. If you were umming and ahhing about coming on Sunday to the Key Model World Live, get yourself along. Come and talk to Ben. I'll be there as well. You can always have a chat with me, and we will be running the TT120 stuff on Camelot. So, Ben, thank you so much for your time.
No, it's a pleasure. It's
been fantastic. It's been great to be working at home rather than back home. Anyway, thanks very much.
No, pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Let's look at the weight of the Deltic. Now, Ben says he could probably add about another 10 grams to this, which should do absolutely fine. And the 122, 127 grams. Well, it's not pulling very much, is it? So let's enjoy just spinning these round for a little bit on the Roco turntable. So you have a good look at all those little extra details, like the handrails being added on, etc., etc. Lots of metal details on the handrails. And obviously there'll be print work on those windows, so that should tidy the whole thing up. The little DMU, I was very impressed with this little DMU. The interior is really good as well, with the pipes, and when this gets painted up, and especially when it gets its its whiskers. I think it's going to look fantastic. I really can't wait to have one or maybe two or maybe more running on my layout. Okay, so let's have a little running session. These in DC mode, with all my loads of points, I had no problems with these and they ran super smoothly. I know I was thinking about cutting in some nice diesel sounds. I've got a load of that kind of stuff archived from my club with the O-gauge Heljan DELTIC, but I thought that might be a little bit kind of like misleading. So we're going to run in silence. I thought about putting some music on, but I shall leave that kind of channel music to others more skilled at that sort of thing than me. It always seems to go wrong when I try. Yeah, sorry about the focusing. Never mind. This is more of an incentive for you to come along and see it in the flesh at Key Model World Live. I think it's going to be awesome. I'll have it then with some Hunt magnet couplings in the back, because it's got NEM pockets front and back. Obviously, both of them have the 122 as well as the DELTIC, and we'll have we'll pull some bits and bats around. I think this will look perfectly fine with either a vent wagon on the back, or maybe we might have a little horse box by then. Who knows? Failing that, I shall stick a 50-foot on the back of that. Here we go. As Peachy would say, nothing more to tell right now. I wish I could show you the liveries, but you can probably work them out yourself. The DELTIC coming in sort of like, in those, I can't remember the exact date, but we're looking at periods of like 60s, 70s, 80s, and 60s and 70s for the DELTIC, and I think for the 122 you're looking at, I can't remember if it came in at the end of the 50s, possibly 60s, 70s, 80s, and that pushed into the 90s. And I know that there's a whole bunch of liveries for those that will cover a whole load of things and regions and all that kind of malarkey. So everybody should be happy. Hooray! Right. Moving forward. There's a possible. It might be one or two red herrings in the interview you just had. There might have been one or two sort of like little leaks. That's for you to work out and talk about. Stick them in the comments below if you think you've sussed out what I'm planning on next for a new wagon, a brand new wagon, mind, from a brand new manufacturer. So that's, when I say brand new manufacturer, that means it's not Hornby, it means it's not Pico, it means it's not Revolution Trains, and it means it's not Heljan. Okay? And arguably, because Accurascale did actually make some little figures in 120, that little 3D printed colour thing was supposed to be a little joke, very amusing. So they produced something that you can buy in 120. So Accurascale are already on board with 120, so that rules them out. Have fun working it out. We'll be telling all soon, I promise. Everyone out there, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care of yourselves. Cheery bye.
And that's all there is to tell. I'll be on my way now, sir. I've got urgent business in the south. I have to meet a man at Marlborough Junction.